Hey, we're in East Dallas today looking at the backflow on an irrigation system we installed last spring. We wanted to point out a few things on the backflow that could be helpful for a homeowner in the event of a leak or just an overall issue. The way a backflow is going to work is as water leaves the city meter here, it passes through this pipe and into this backflow that's in this hole. This is only applicable to water going into your irrigation system. There's a separate pipe that goes into your house. This backflow is only related to your irrigation system. With that being said, there's a couple of valves on here that you can turn off the irrigation system mechanically by just turning one of these valves. So if for some reason you ever come across what you think is an irrigation system leak in your yard somewhere, you can come over here, turn one of these valves, and you would know for certain that water's not passing in and entering into there. And you can kind of do a little bit of self-detection there. With that being said, another issue that we do come across is homeowners will get an inspection report when they're trying to sell their house, and it'll say something about a corroded backflow. We really wanted to point out how this one is installed. There is an air gap between this backflow and the ground below it. You can see my hand moving in underneath here. That allows for water to pass through. There's not going to be any soil sitting against it. There's not going to be any standing water on it. And that'll allow it to get the most out of its life. You really shouldn't be replacing these things hardly ever. If on the off chance you do have to replace it, it can get a little bit expensive. So Monty, our irrigation technician, is here. He does a lot of these backflow change outs depending on the size of the pipe and the digging conditions, meaning what's around it, how difficult is it going to be to access this. What do you think a typical price range for just replacing one if you had to is?
Yeah, I mean, a smaller one like this can be anywhere from $1,200 all the way to upwards of a couple grand. And I think with this is very important, just have preventative maintenance, like you said, just having that air gap in place really just helps to protect against erosion and prevent problems down the line. So
cool. Let's walk over here. This is coincidentally another client of ours. We do not have anything to do with their irrigation system installation, and we at least want to point out what it seems like the vast majority of Dallas backflows look like. You can see this one here. Over the course of time, water's kind of ran down in here, moved soil against it, and at this point it's slightly corroding. By no means does that mean, oh, this is going to break next year. It could be 5 years down the road, but it is something where you're just adding up to the chances of possible issues. And like I said, it could be potentially an expensive fix depending on how far we have to dig back to cut it out, how far this way. You know, sometimes these backflows can be really close to the meter, which means you're cutting in really tight spaces. You're having to solder new pipe on. Like I said, it can kind of spin out of control sometimes and be way more expensive than it kind of looks like it might be. So either way, that's just a couple problematic issues that can come across with backflows. Like I said, most homeowners don't even have a clue that they have them. However, once they do have an issue with them, it can be a little bit expensive. So that preventative maintenance can be great. And then also it is a good place to know that where it is on your property. That way, if for some reason you do have a perpetual leak, you can go and find that valve and go ahead and turn it off and call someone out to repair it or repair it yourself. So hope this is informational.